if we've got this next generation of potential engineers watching this podcast, what would you say to them? What's your advice?
Their skills and capabilities, and then there's also sort of behavioural related items. So change is a constant, and we have innovation in the sector going on all the time. So being resilient and adaptable to change is a key thing when you're thinking about coming into this kind of industry.
Hello, and welcome to Ingenuity, the podcast series from HORIBA MIRA, where we go behind the scenes of next-generation vehicle development. In each episode, I'm joined by an expert in their field as we show you the mastery behind the magic. And I'm thrilled today to be joined by Dr. Roisin Hopkins. Welcome, Roisin. You're the new managing executive here at HORIBA MIRA. So before we get into some of what you do now, can you tell us a bit about your journey, how you started here, where you've been and kind of come from?
So I've actually been here for 34 years. So gosh, a lifetime. I joined MIRA in 1991 as a research associate. So at that time, MIRA had quite a strong engagement with government, and there were a number of research programs that the government were funding HORIBA MIRA to conduct. And I picked up one of those research programs in passive safety. So I started in the company in the passive safety team and research team on a project looking at occupant simulation. So I did that for a number of years, completed my PhD, and then following on from that, I worked in the passive safety area, doing customer liaison on safety projects. And then from there, really just took a journey through a number of different parts of the business. So started to work on vehicle programs that were looking at how we do validation and verification for customers across all of our capabilities. And then moved into operating different business units, leading to running our test services organization, and then into the commercial part of the business as chief commercial officer until just recently taking over as managing executive. So quite a variety of different roles through the business, but really exciting and engaging to be able to see the transformation of the business over that time.
Fantastic. It's quite a journey, as you say, both for yourself, but also for the organisation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, back in the 1990s, we really were a research organisation that was had a number of great facilities, and it was a membership organisation at that time. But then latterly, when George Gillespie took over as managing director of the business, he started to change the structure of the company, and since then we've had huge investment from HORIBA and being able to see acceleration of a number of different capabilities, both from physical assets on the site, but also the development of the technology park and our research and development programs.
So if we kind of zoom out for a second and look at the automotive and mobility industry as a whole. I mean, as you said, you've been here for 34 years. You've seen some changes in that time, and I guess particularly in the last decade. Can you tell us a bit about that? What are the things that you've noticed that have really shifted for the industry?
Yeah, and I think the last decade's, sort of a good time frame to think about, because for a while it wasn't that it wasn't developing, but in the last decade, it has been truly quite transformational in terms of introduction of electrification. So setting of net zero targets by governments that's driving the vehicle manufacturers to have to rethink their propulsion technology. And that's had huge impacts on R&D budgets for those vehicle manufacturers, having to continue with development of ICE technology as well as bring in electrification. So that's been quite transformational in terms of what we need to provide as a business to support our customers on that journey, as well as electrification. At the same time, AI technology starting to develop and become developed at pace, meaning that the ability to bring autonomy into vehicles, and how that's going to land with legislation, insurers, and building customer confidence in and the risks around autonomy. So, two huge technological changes for the sector over the last few years, and we're having to respond to that in terms of our knowledge, our capability, our competency, and how we can provide facilities and engineering services to support our customers on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, HORIBA MIRA's kind of mission is about making journeys safer, cleaner, and smarter. And obviously, all of that new technology kind of plays into that. If we look at the safety angle, obviously that was where you started, but also I know it's something that's kind of really at the heart of everything that goes on here. And we think about, as you talked about, kind of the physical assets and the capabilities. So HORIBA MIRA is the only UK location for both active and passive safety for Euro NCAP. And obviously our government, the UK government, has just released the road safety strategy, to reduce those serious injuries and road deaths. What's the impact of things like that on the auto industry? And I guess how's HORIBA MIRA helping industry to respond?
Yeah. So we've obviously been working in passive safety for a very long time, and we're on the probably third generation of our passive safety facilities, which are continually developing to support those new not legislation, actually, the new consumer standards. So it's really interesting in passive safety and that and active safety that the standards have actually been driven by the new car assessment programs. And those are global standards. So whether that's a Euro NCAP or a Latin NCAP or a US NCAP, China NCAP. So globally, those standards are really pushing what consumers want from their products. And legislation has stayed quite static for a number of years. So to see this new push from the government to reduce accidents and to reduce and improve safety on our roads is critical. So for us, having the capability as a Euro NCAP accredited facility means that we can support our customers to develop their products to meet those standards. We can participate with technical working groups within Euro NCAP to help advise on what's possible and what's coming through technologically in the sector to be able to continue to push on those safety critical aspects of vehicles on the roads today.
So now, if we move on to cleaner and that acceleration of electrification, particularly for the industry, there's obviously still lots to do. There's still lots of challenges around that. Can you tell us a little bit about what HORIBA MIRA is doing to support?
Yeah, actually, we've been doing a lot of work over a number of years around understanding the battery technology. So if you look at the early phases of battery management systems and ensuring that any cell or module or battery pack is delivering the right level of energy into the vehicle and how that energy is optimized. So from an early phase stage of development on the electrification journey, providing our customers with access to digital twins and virtual tool sets to help with that sort of real-time data-driven calibration of the system to ensure energy optimization. And we've got some great tools we've developed, such as Mobius, to be able to support that. So there's a lot of work going on the early phase of specification and battery management systems with appropriate facilities to support that development. And then if you move into energy optimization, not just of the battery itself, but also of the associated systems with thermal management, looking at new technologies with HVAC systems, and how we can get the balance of thermal and then battery power. So those things are all key. And then we're looking and have been for a number of years at the validation and verification of systems. So how do we ensure that any battery cell, module or pack is safe? And we have a number of facilities to support that, and invested in some great capability at our facility in Basildon around development and validation of those battery packs for environmental testing. So looking at the vibration and climatic conditions. And then also, you have to think about what happens if things go wrong. So we have put quite a lot of activity into looking at battery safety systems and battery abuse. And so really we as a UK PLC really need to think about how do we drive that, continually drive that forward, and look for more technology advancement in how we make batteries safer.
And so if we come to smarter then, in terms of particularly, I guess, autonomous vehicles, Assured Cav is our ecosystem here at HORIBA MIRA for connected autonomous vehicles, obviously supported by UK government to bring that kind of market opportunity to the UK. What's next in terms of autonomous deployment and how we kind of maximise that opportunity as well?
Yeah. I think a lot about what's next is about starting to build that customer confidence, really. And so there are a number of deployments for autonomy you see across the globe, and some great companies really driving forward that AI capability that enables that. But I think if we think about what comes next, probably looking at how we deploy those in bounded operational environments. So maybe something like Belfast Harbour or the NEC, where you've got a public site, but it's within a controlled operational domain. So I think those are the kinds of things that will help to build confidence in the technology and how it can be deployed.
I mean, it's as you say, there is a magic here, isn't there? That I think it's very hard to describe that to someone externally, but actually once you're here, you kind of see it happening. You see that side by side collaboration and how we're all coming together to solve some of these kind of big challenges for the industry. So yeah, absolutely. I think you've explained that really well.
Yeah, and I think that for us, being able to support our customers to meet those challenges, to find ways to accelerate those development cycles, and provide the skills and competencies and facilities here to enable that delivery is really important for us as a business. Also really important for us is to think about how we can take some of those skills and capabilities into transferable sectors. So for example, for me, we're starting to look at some of sectors outside of mobility, like the water industry, where there is linkage between automotive and water, and how we can take some of those skills to develop and find solutions to problems that those sectors are seeing at the moment. And for us, equally important is how we support our defence requirements. So huge long-term experience of working with defence industry. But there's some critical things there with technology developments and innovation that we can bring to that sector too. So a really exciting time ahead for us in how we can help it in that industry.
We've started to touch on a bit of this, but actually if we've got a crystal ball kind of here in front of us and we're looking into it, what do you think we'll see as kind of trends and themes kind of emerging from the industry in the next 10 years?
That's a tough question. I mean, having had that view from 34 years ago of wanting simulation to be informing and reducing development cycles, I would say looking into the future, you would see very much more with the advancement of technology and software development and computing power, that we can actually do a huge amount more development in the virtual world and much less in the physical world. And that will be great for getting product to market quickly. It will be great for taking waste out of the process. It will be great for the planet in terms of the amount of energy that we're using to develop automotive vehicles. So yeah, it would be really great to look to that time period and see that virtual development really happening. And it'll be interesting to see how much autonomy takes over and how consumer confidence builds as they accept autonomy. And you can start to see it now. There is deployment in cities around the world with passengers in driverless vehicles. So I would expect that we would see a lot more confidence build in that area, and we'll have a lot more autonomy on our roads.
That's really interesting. And I think there's a kind of relationship here, isn't there, almost between the two, about actually that handover from virtual to physical. And I mean, places like HORIBA MIRA and the tech park, as you say, the physical assets that we've got, but also the kind of experience in that virtual modeling. It's kind of bringing the best of both of those worlds together, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think, it's easier to help customers who are on the start of their journey, so startup companies, to move in that direction. That the more challenge comes from the customers that have established processes and ways of working to sort of shift that momentum. But yeah, what we have here is ideal to support that journey.
And so my last question, I could talk to you all afternoon. It would be brilliant. But my last question is actually about the next generation. So I know you're a school governor, you're a parent yourself as well. If we've got this next generation of potential engineers watching this podcast, what would you say to them? What's your advice?
Their skills and capabilities. And then there's also sort of behavioral related items. So change is a constant. And we have innovation in the sector going on all the time. So being resilient and adaptable to change is a key thing when you're thinking about coming into this kind of industry. I think if we're looking at vehicles of 20 years ago to vehicles in 20 years' time, there's a real mix of mechanical, electrical, material science, software. Likely to see a lot more software defined vehicles in the market. So thinking about data skills and data science, those are key elements of what we will need in our automotive engineers of the future. But what I would just generally say is take opportunities, accept challenges, think about the variety of different competencies you can develop and the different areas of technology you can get invested in through a career in this industry. It's really exciting, and it changes frequently, and you'll learn lots.
Brilliant. That's absolutely great advice and a great note to end on. As I said, we could talk all afternoon, but thank you very much for joining me, Roisin.